Hey podcaster, I'm Tim Walberg, your podcast performance coach with another actionable tip so you can sound like a pro and gain more podcast fans. Today's tip is all about what you should be editing out of your podcast. I think you should be editing your podcast. As a listener, I want to be informed and entertained. I don't want to hear your version of reality radio where you have all these natural distractions that take me away from your message. Do us all a favor. Be professional and edit out all your mistakes and glaring errors. But you can go too far. There is a balance. You're aiming for what sounds the most natural. I once heard a podcast that went overboard. This was a motivational coach, and she started talking, and she must not have liked the sound of her own breath because all of her breaths were edited out between every word, between every sentence, and between every paragraph. There were no breaths. It sounded completely unnatural, just like this. Be careful of programs that claim to edit out those gaps in spoken word presentations. You may end up with something like that if it's not used properly. Let your podcast breathe. In an upcoming episode, I'll talk about the power of silence. I get it. You want your podcast to sound perfect, but you can over-edit. Ever see someone with too much plastic surgery? They had good intentions, just gonna clean it up a little bit, just a little nip and tuck. And then 5 years later, they look like a puffy-lipped alien. I've spent a lot of time in editing booths in my radio career. And yes, you can get lost in editing. But I'm going to tell you something that may blow your mind. Not everything on the radio is live. When it comes to talk radio, which is not that different from your podcast, some of these shows are recorded in advance for many reasons. When we record, we call it live to tape. We hit record and count it down in 3, 2, and 1. And then we go. Just as if it's happening live. One shot and it's done. If there wasn't anything major to edit out, it would go straight to air. Sometimes like coughing fits or maybe someone tipped over a glass of water. We'll edit that out, clean it up. But for the most part, it's as is. Wouldn't it be great if you could bang out your podcast in one take? Some people do have the gift of gab. Others, they have to work a little bit harder. But that's where editing comes in. So what should you edit out? You want to keep it natural. If you stumble over a word here and there, that's natural. Don't sweat it. If you stumble over every second word, edit it out or do it again. Same rule applies to the ums. Too many is too much. Having a few is natural. Breathing is natural. Gasping is not. Clearing your throat, sneezing, coughing is all natural. But I don't want to hear it. Edit it out. If your guest tells their dog to move or answers the cell phone, edit it out. If something is so obvious, like a lamp falls over and smashes, you should probably stop. That's distracting. Also, things like garbage trucks, cows, and parades. Mark down the time and tell your guest you want to re-ask the last question and pick it up from there. And your content is not off limits. If you get way off topic during your show and it doesn't fit naturally into the episode, edit it out. And don't just edit yourself. Be kind to your guest. Edit your guest. Make them sound great too. When they blow their nose or start choking, edit it out. They'll appreciate it. But understand this, the amount of editing you do will depend on the type of show you have. If you're a casual or edgy podcast, you'll probably want to leave it a little more raw because anything goes. If you're doing a more traditional solo or interview-based type show, clean it up, but don't get too picky. Keep it as natural as possible. A simple rule to follow. If it's distracting to you, it's probably distracting to your listener. And I hope that's just the tip you need. Got 15 minutes? I do. Let's get together and talk podcasting. Book your free 15-minute coaching session with me, and let's start making your podcast sound even better. Book your session today at podcastperformancecoach.com. I'm Tim Walberg. See ya!